Final Space is really good and you should watch it. About mid-August, I don't remember the exact date, I decided to watch Final Space on Netflix. I'd heard good things about it, and I'd seen a couple clips around the internet, but I'd never seen an episode before. I watched the first couple of episodes and I thought to myself, alright, yeah, this is pretty good. I like this. It's funny, it's animated pretty decently. Looks like your standard space adventure show. Bad guy makes a thing, or does a thing, or something. Good guys stop it. Looks promising. A couple days later, I tried watching a couple more episodes. Except I ended up watching the entire show. Something you need to understand is I personally don't like binge watching things. I need to break up sitting and watching something with doing literally anything else. So you know, if I watched the whole show in mostly one night, you know it's good. I also rewatched it a couple days ago before I wrote the script for this video. I got through 8 episodes that night. It was really late and I had school the next day. I would have finished it, but I didn't, so shut up. I like the show and I want to talk about it. Oh yeah, I should mention, before I go much farther, that there's some minor spoilers ahead. Nothing major, but there's a little bit. Can't review something without telling you a little bit about it. Whatever, enough rambling about nothing. I have homework to do and I'm tired, so I'll keep this video relatively short. Probably. I don't know, I have no idea how long this will be. Whatever. This is why Final Space is good. I don't know if that's going to be the title or not. Let's start with plot. As I mentioned a little earlier, this show feels like it's going to follow an episodic format when it first begins. What that means is that every show won't really have much to do with one another. There might be a few plot episodes here and there, but it'll largely not change. Think something like The Simpsons or Rick and Morty as opposed to Over the Garden Wall or Season 3 of Star vs. the Force of Evil. Those shows aren't even remotely similar, but you get the point. I mean, if you haven't seen any of those, that meant absolutely nothing to you, but whatever, those are all pretty good shows too, except The Simpsons. This show, however, follows Gary, a prisoner put on our ship called the Galaxy 1, who has no company except for Hugh, the ship's AI, Kevin, his deep space insanity avoidance companion, and the Sames, which they're all just normal robots. One day on a spacewalk, he finds Mooncake, a cute little creature that the Lord Commander's looking for. This sparks a huge space epic or whatever following these two, as well as Avocado, a bounty hunter on the search for a son, and Quinn, an Infinity Guard member that discovered a breach in space and time. Most of that was ripped off of Wikipedia. That's not the point. I can't explain a plot without, wrecking the plot. It's hard to explain. The point is, the show's really good, and doesn't waste any time getting to the plot either. They just get through it very quickly and very concisely. The show's only 10 episodes too, which is both really good and really bad. It's really good because it doesn't waste any time and there's no filler. It just does its thing amazingly. It's so good. It's bad though because there's only 10 episodes. And just a warning, get ready to be really sad. Really, really sad. I won't say why, but just know there's a lot of Felios in this show, which is a good thing. If it makes you cry, it's probably really good. Unless you're crying of boredom, but that won't happen in this show. It's very exciting. I don't know how to segue this into my next point, so I'll just... For some reason, Western animators can't seem to make a cartoon show that isn't trying to be a comedy. There are very few Western animated shows that aren't comedies. I actually cannot think of a single one. That being said, this show's hilarious. This show's humor is a major part of why I like it so much. The writing in this show feels like a beautiful mixture of Futurama, Bob's Burgers, and Rick and Morty. And that's a very good thing. Rick and Morty and Futurama are two of the best and most original animated shows ever made. Rick and Morty just has, some other problems. Bob's Burgers, on the other hand, is alright. It's fine. I have no complaints about it. It's okay. The humor in Final Space, however, is admittedly not for everyone, but there are other reasons to like the show. I'm coming to that. Be patient. It's really hard to write about why a show is funny without spoiling anything, but I think it's funny, and since I'm universally considered to be the funniest man on the internet, you'll just have to take my word for it. That was probably the funniest sentence I've ever written and then subsequently said. Usually in a show, especially cartoons, the characters are all fairly one-dimensional at the start and develop more and more as the show goes on. That's just kind of how writing works. But cartoons suffer the problem of not really developing them until the end, or like a major plot episode. A live-action show has the actor behind the character putting more life into the character than a cartoon does, but since cartoons tend to be comedies, this isn't really a massive issue. Final Space develops its characters very quickly. I can't really say why without giving away too much, but most of the characters actually have a lot of depth to them. This shows a lot of really good characters. You've got my boy Gerald, you've got Gwen, you've got Catman and his son, Small Catman, you've got Tom Kenny, HAL 9000, you have Magic Avocado Shaped Head Guy, you have a floating personality core from Portal with arms, you have the most adorable thing ever put into a show, and if anything were to happen to him, I would murder everyone in this room and then myself. There's just so many good characters with realistic flaws and goals. I really like all the characters in this show. Except Tribor. I find Tribor to be kind of annoying, especially when I watched it the second time. But he's not really in too much, and he doesn't take much away from the overall show, so I'm going to talk about presentation now, because I don't know what else to say about characters. Just know that there's a lot of really deep, emotional moments here and there that really show you how a character's good. I don't know, watch the show. This show is one of the most beautifully animated shows I have ever seen. It looks flawless. Seriously, if everything I've told you before this isn't enough to convince you to watch this show, watch it for the animation alone. I mean, look at this. Look at this, it's beautiful. This gorgeous animation is combined with a weirdly good soundtrack. Usually in an animated show, the soundtrack is never bad, but it's not really particularly good. It's just okay. Unless there's actual musical numbers, like in Steven Universe, and even in Steven Universe most of the music is terrible, music is never really focused on. Side note, there are no musical numbers in Final Space, so I'm gonna have to take a few points off of the overall score that I was definitely keeping track of. Whatever, the music in this show is good. Moving on. My favorite scenes are the beginning of every episode, and it's mostly due to the presentation. Almost every episode begins with Gary floating through space amidst wreckage and corpses, talking to Hugh. They're well animated and complemented by the sad music playing in the background. Also, the dialogue is good. That doesn't have much to do with presentation, I just wanted to point that out. But the show has a lot of melancholy moments like these. I can't show them because spoilers, but what really makes the show memorable for me, that's more of a personal thing though. I really like this kind of stuff. There are also plenty of other stuff that makes this show memorable, like, everything I just talked about, but these little moments are what personally make the show for me. Alright, I think this video has gone on long enough. I can't think of anything to say anymore, so that's mostly why I'm stopping. Also, it's past my bedtime and I have homework to do, so I'm gonna stop talking. To sum up what I just rambled off, Final Space is good and it's on Netflix. If everything I said wasn't enough to convince you, David Tennant plays the Lord Commander, and David Tennant's amazing. Look at him. He's beautiful. Go watch Final Space. Bye.